I pulled up to this campground last night about 7 o'clock. It was already dark, and there's a camper over here, some tents over here. There's more tents. There's a few cars around, but there's nobody here. It's really weird. It looks like there's a river bottom right over here, and then upland pines, which we're camped in right now, and palmettos and stuff, and a good boundary line kind of edge between those two habitats. So home sweet home. Armadillo. More deer. So it rained pretty much all night last night. Just not a hard rain, just kind of a light drizzle. So the deer seem to be moving pretty good this morning. All these tracks are since it stopped raining. There's quite a bit of movement this morning. Little bobcat track. It's a possum. So this is all old hog sign. And we're underneath a big live oak. There's a pretty decent live oak stand right here. But this is the same, live oaks' acorns are already well gone. And so, you know, they've just moved on from here. But this whole place is tore up with hog rooting. But that's a good sign. Might poke around here a little more and just see. See if they might still be hanging around somewhere. I'm not seeing any fresh sign down here. There's deer sign everywhere, but the pigs just aren't here. When I was following my pigs around in Mississippi, they would have very different, at least some of them would, very different home ranges, seasonal home ranges. And a lot of that was due to changes in their habitat throughout the year. So a lot of that place was flooded in the winter and really unavailable. And so they would shift away from that. But I think a lot of it was due to food availability as well. And so they're definitely not opposed to picking up and just completely shifting their home range throughout the year. And so I think I've just been poking around where they have been. I gotta find where they are. All right, so I was in this vehicle traveling to another wildlife management area, and so I was gonna check out another place, and on the way over there I saw a couple of game wardens parked at a store chatting it up. And so I swung in there and talked to those guys, and they gave me a little bit of intel where they say a couple of guys have been killing some pigs back on the river back where I came from. So the river is real braided out here and creates islands, and so I'm hoping that just getting out there on those islands is gonna give those hogs a little bit more security, and hopefully I can find something out there, but it's worth a shot. In my experience, pigs are a lot more sensitive to pressure than deer. Like if you pressure whitetails, they'll just go nocturnal. If you pressure pigs, they will leave. And so I'm hoping that getting out on some of these islands is gonna get me into some areas where there's a little bit less pressure. Plus this area that I'm going to is a still hunt area. Some of the areas that I was walking around yesterday were dog hunt areas, and I didn't realize it. But I had some dog hunters come by me this morning, and that's, you start running pigs with dogs and they figure it out pretty quick and go to some other areas. But it's tough coming behind dog hunters. So I just turned off the highway, going to this new spot, and I wanted to show you something real quick. It's kind of cool. There's we're out here on all these big open flats, and there's a bunch of trees out here, a bunch of pine trees with these white belts painted around them. And this is marking the trees for a pretty cool species called red cockaded woodpeckers. And if you look right here, you see this white band on this tree. And if you notice, I don't know if you can see this on this wide screen or not, but up there's a hole. These woodpeckers only nest in live pines, and there's sap that's dripping all down this tree. So it takes them years to excavate one of these holes, one of these cavities, because they're doing it into a live tree. And this is one of the only colonial, I don't know what the correct biological term is for it, but they're a family group, and the offspring actually help to excavate the nests. That's the only way they could do it and reproduce successfully, is to have help excavating these things, because they take so long. But they peck these holes all around the entrance to the cavity, and it oozes this sap, which helps to protect the nests from things like pine snakes. It's pretty cool. But this whole place is full of them. They make these like little grouped colonies. So they'll be I don't know, look like there may be 8 or 10 trees there where there's cavities, or cavities being started. And so they're like always excavating new cavities because it takes so long. Hopefully I'll be able to find some little kind of sandy, higher spots in here. It is hot. I bet it's got to be over 80 degrees today. It is sweltering in January. So this island that I'm on is about 1 mile long and about a ½ mile wide. And so I'm just checking it out, see if I can find any hog signs, see if I can find any kind of habitat diversity, or if it's all just going to be the same kind of bottomland hardwood type stuff. There's a lot of water oaks in here, actually these big trees here, but they they're one of the white oaks. All of their acorns would be gone by now. Found a little bit of fresh sign. Some droppings here. This is the best sign I've seen so far. None of this stuff is super fresh, but it's the freshest I've seen so far. I'm sure there's pigs on this island. I just gotta bump into them. With it being so hot today, I would imagine they're gonna be bedded up somewhere. But they shouldn't be bedded too awful far from where they've been feeding. So if I can find some fresh, like some really fresh rooting, I'll just sit. I'll just see if I can find a tree to climb or sit on the ground, something. Hope something comes by until, at least do that until it gets a little later in the day when they ought to be up feeding. Oh. Well, getting warmer. So I made a big loop around the whole island. It took about, I don't know, 3-4 hours. Maybe longer than that. And best I can tell, there were hogs here maybe a week ago, but I'm not well versed in age and sign down in this kind of environment, so you might take that with a grain of salt, but I think that's a pretty good guess. And so the hogs weren't here, but they are in the river bottom. Now, I don't know what they're feeding on. I don't know what they're rooting up, but there's obviously something in there they like. And so what I'm going to do is head back out, go to the car, and then it looks like a couple miles down there's another big island, and I'm going to try to get to that this evening and just stay close by and get out there as early as I can in the morning, because with it being so hot, I don't think they're going to be moving during the day. I think you're going to have to catch them right at first light or right at last light. Either that, or there's no way to get in on them really when they're bedded up. It's just, you can bust them out. If you had a shotgun, you could do it, but not with a bow. I'm looking for like just a little bit of a ridge, you know, and when I say ridge, I'm talking like 1 or 2 foot of elevation difference, where you'll have some different species take root. And that's the kind of stuff that I found all that sign in yesterday. God, I love those birds. If anybody knows what these are, let me know, because I'm unsure. They're growing on a, looks like a sweet bay. So this is the island that I was trying to get to right here. Hopefully it'll have some high ground on it. I can see some pines up here to the left, so maybe that means it's got some high ground on it. What I'm hoping to find over here is some more of that stuff that looks like where I found all that hog sign yesterday. All these things flipping around out there, all that's gar. There's a hog right there. 25 yards. Son of well, at least I saw a pig. That was a pretty good sized little boar too. He's probably, I don't know, 100, 120 maybe. The wind in here is just, it's mostly coming this way, but you know how that is when it mostly goes one way. I got to probably 20, 25 yards of him, just never, he was kind of down into a little depression. I never had a clear sign at him, or a clear shot at him. But he was right on the edge of the river, feeding on some sort of aquatic stuff. But it looks like maybe the tide has gone out, or is going out, and it's exposed some of this stuff right along the riverbank. So I'm gonna just keep paddling up this and hopefully be able to see another one doing the same thing. God, man, he was so close. So close. That was cool. Right now, I don't even know what roads these are. I have no idea where I'm at. There's no road numbers. There's no road names. I'm just driving, see where I end up.